Thank you, Richard. Hi again, everyone. Let's confirm the team news for you straight away. With Manuel Almunia continuing in goal for Arsenal, though Jens Lehmann likely to play for Germany next week. The right-back berth today goes to Mathieu Flamini, Bakary Sagna and Emmanuel Eboué, both still unfit, as well as William Gallas. Alex Hleb sat out the midweek Champions League qualifier, but he returns today in place of Theo Walcott. And it is the striker partnership which started the win against Manchester City of Adebayor and Van Persie, with other attacking options on the bench like Eduardo and, of course, Walcott.
A lot's been said about Arsenal's kids, about them not being ready to challenge for the league, but you look at the side here and you'll find it's highly experienced. I haven't done the maths, but I should think the average age here is in the mid-20s. Portsmouth, of course, will know what's coming today. Arsenal, as always, will be hard to pin down with the wide men, Hleb and Rosicky, drifting inside, trying little 1-2s with the front pair, and also making dashes beyond them when they can. It's a style that's always been pleasing on the eye, and hasn't always provided an end product. The early signs this season suggest something different.
Well, 10 days ago, David James became the first ever Portsmouth goalkeeper to represent England. But Sol Campbell's chances of restarting his international career not helped by his absence today. Noé Pamereau takes his place, and Glenn Johnson makes his second Pompey debut after rejoining from Chelsea before the deadline. And that means that Lauren is pushed forward to cover the departure of Gary O'Neill to Middlesbrough. And like Lauren, Kanu also gave Arsenal great service in the past. He's supported today by fellow Nigerian John Utaka, who's made a good start to his Premier League career. And the substitutes include two others with an Arsenal past as well. Jamie Ashdown had a spell on loan with the Gunners, and Richard Hughes a season at Highbury as a teenager.
Well, just like at Chelsea, Harry Redknapp plumps for an attacking 4-4-2 rather than trying to just stifle the opposition. It did work well at Stamford Bridge, and if they play to that same level, Pompey could cause a few problems here. John Utaka up front gives them something different with his direct running style, but the new boy's got to be careful that he does stay switched on when his side haven't got the ball, and when that happens, the contribution of that midfield four becomes absolutely crucial. Sully Montari has impressed since arriving this summer. Tough, loves to tackle, and that should come in handy when Arsenal start to press today.
The Portsmouth area sold out, and the fans travelling with plenty of optimism these days, even though the figures tell you that Portsmouth haven't won an away game in the year 2007. Somewhat a surprising statistic. As for the Arsenal supporters, young and old, probably dealing with the politics at the club as well as the action on the pitch. David Dean clearly wants to get back to running affairs at Arsenal. He's enlisted foreign investors as a preliminary step. It will be interesting to see if the current board resist those overtures once the agreement not to sell between them passes, and that's as soon as next April. But what these fans are going to hear in the next couple of days is good news about Arsene Wenger's future. I can confirm he's going to sign a new deal, maybe for 3 or even 4 years, and that will be formalised as far as the public announcement is concerned in the next couple of days. So David James wanting to impress today, of course, primarily for Portsmouth, but it might help make Steve McLaren's mind up as to who is going to keep goal for England in 2 vital games at Wembley. Next Saturday against Israel, the following Wednesday against Russia. Mark Halsey, the referee, renewing a few old acquaintanceships. There's a fresh approach musically at the Emirates this season. Arsenal coming out to an old song, The Wonder of You, the Elvis version, something I'm sure Alan Smith has sung and karaoke's up and down the country in the past. Well, Alan, they do play some wonderful football here, that's for sure.
They certainly do, yes. It's a new one on me, that Elvis. But I think you're talking of the fans. I think they'll be mildly concerned about what's going on behind the scenes. But as you say, Arsenal.
It's Villa and Chelsea later. Right now, the Emirates for Arsenal and Portsmouth. Commentators Alan Smith and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. Well, Kanu here to spearhead Portsmouth's efforts against a former club. It won't surprise you to know that he's very much a hero to Emmanuel Adebayor, who has adopted very much the look. It is something of an old boys reunion here, with Tony Adams on the Portsmouth bench, of course, and even Harry Redknapp was a boyhood Arsenal fan growing up in London. So Arsenal are safely through into the Champions League group stage, and happy with their draw as well. But progress in the Premier League is uppermost today to continue a decent start. 7 points out of 9, but for a layman error it could have been 9 points out of 9 up at Blackburn.
It's that first 5 or 10 minutes as well, isn't it, with Arsenal? Portsmouth will be aware of. They get an early goal, they can absolutely crucify you, tear you apart with the passing and movement. Probably will be looking to do
a super surface for that. Kleb. Put in by Muntari. Utaka supporting Kanu, but Portsmouth can't keep the ball, and Adebayor sprints away. Gilberto. Toss it in. And James able to come and claim it off the chest of Matty Taylor.
Just catch the glue a bit, did it, on his shirt, James?
Well, there was a lot of talk about this new kit when we were away with them in Hong Kong in July. Particularly the point that Jeff Treves was making about the visibility patches, that you can spot a pass and peripheral vision and all that. They won that tournament, incidentally, thanks to David James.
If they win 3-0 here, think about your life, they'll be thanking the shirts.
Kevin Haridason, after relegation with Charlton, has picked up his Premier League career with yet another club. Portsmouth actually have not won an away game since promotion of the Premier League against any of the big four. They had a great chance to do it in this stadium last season. They were 2-0 up at the Emirates to settle for a 2-2 draw. They've got Sean Utaka now to add to their attacking potential.
He didn't hesitate there, pulling the trigger as soon as he got it, 22 yards out or so. That deflection, we've seen a few goals this weekend where the ball's popped up off a defender.
Distan making his way forward. Whipped in by Taylor, and Senderos they're coming together with Haridason, who sees it as much more cynical than that.
Well, it's a good tussle. That Haridason's never shy, giving out a little bit of physical shove and pull. And I think there's a lot in there. He's just tried to block his run, Senderos, actually.
Well, he's got the number 6 shirt, Philip Senderos, a famous number here. Of course, the former property of one Tony Adams. Tony Adams, incidentally, has had chats in the past with Senderos about his game. And they've sent out Kanu to try and ruffle his feathers today, as Drogba has done in the past.
Well, it is an area of their game, Arsenal's, defensively, from corners, set pieces, challenging for in the air. But they have conceded goals in the past. Can't afford for that to continue this season if they want to go places.
Right, some of the free kick. There is Kanu getting the better of Senderos. Toure there to help out his fellow centre-back. Taylor whipping it in early, and Lauren coming in from the opposite flank. And, almost 250 appearances in red and white for Arsenal.
Just wonder how long he'll stay in that right midfield position with Glenn Johnson. The younger legs behind, they might interchange once or twice this afternoon.
Well, Almunia. He's been saying he was going to ask to leave Arsenal if he hadn't got a chance to play. Officially, Lehmann has an injury sustained at Wembley, an Achilles problem. And as I said about the team news, that Lehmann's expecting to link up with Germany. Almunia is expecting to stay in the Arsenal team. We shall watch events with great interest in that particular department of Arsene Wenger's thinking.
He's kept a couple of clean sheets, hasn't he, last 2 games? Another one here certainly helped his cause. You've got to pick on merit. No doubt about that.
Gilberto. Clichy is a very positive character, taking it away from Almunia's claim on the ball and trying to set Arsenal going. How are they going to accumulate the goals without Henry's influence? We'll wait and see. A lot of talk within the camp about sharing them out. And Percy has made a decent start in that respect. Got a couple of goals. He's also wasted 1 penalty as well.
You always want your strikers to be in double figures, nice healthy total, but you've got to share them out, there's no doubt about that. And the boys in the studio talking about Cesc Fabregas. He's going to get a lot more than he did last season.
He's got 3 in his last 4 games.
Did he get 4 last season in total? So that speaks for itself. I think the wide boys as well, Kleb and Rosicky, will play their part.
And David James starting to come out for that. But, it was dealt with by Pamereau. On the subject of goal scoring, he got a couple in the Carling Cup in midweek. Can be a threat from set pieces. Lauren can't deal with it. Van Persie's got a chance here. Out comes James. Mark Horsey's the referee. He points for an Arsenal penalty.
Don't think he's got any choice here, Martin. Mark Halsey, whenever the striker gets his toe to the ball first and the goalkeeper's committed, it's an inevitable consequence. You're going to get a penalty. I don't think there's any question that Van Persie, the contact was made. It all started, you know, from Glenn Johnson with a sloppy pass from the right-back position, and then Clichy was in quickly to dispossess a Portsmouth player, and it's cost them.
Well, no punishment for the goalkeeper. And Van Persie brought down, and Arsenal have had a thing in the past about he who's fouled for the penalty doesn't take the penalty, but of course Van Persie could have his effort saved here against Manchester City. It's Adebayor then, and he strokes Arsenal into an early lead.
Cool as you like. Cool as you like. He's the new penalty taker by the looks of it. I don't know whether that tradition's carrying on as he did with Thierry Henry, but stepping up to the plate, Adebayor slots it home very neatly indeed. And that early goal I was talking about Arsenal getting, and Pompey wanted to avoid it. Well, they're a goal down, up against it now.
Rueful, Portsmouth goalkeeper.
And looking back on it, Martin, there's not too much more he could have done. He may feel he could have got there quicker, but he was pretty sharp off his line to try and get there. Van Persie, though, showed a good turn of pace over 5 or 10 yards to get his toe to the ball first. A vital toe to the ball.
That's their 3rd Premier League penalty already this season, Alan. They got 12 last season. And that's a big number when you think you only have 38 games. Here they are with 3 and 4. Fabregas. Adebayor, the scorer. Kleb.
An uncertain start from Portsmouth. They gave the ball away a couple of times in dangerous areas. Couldn't get out of their defensive third. And on the final occasion, it's cost them.
Rosicky backing up Van Persie. Adebayor. Arsenal with a bit between their teeth. Adebayor has a swing at it. Been a deflection. It drops for Gilberto with some immaculate control from the Brazilian. So an early problem for Pompey. Flamini. Held up by Taylor. Ryderson striding in. Utaka, we've seen already in his short time in England, he can run from deep to devastating effect. Almunia running out to good effect.
Good starting position. His fullback, Al Clichy, actually had done well to come round and cover the situation, but people were sharp.
Sean Davis. Arsenal, of course, have had problems in their relatively short time, a season and a bit, in this sparkling new stadium. They've gone behind more often than they've gone in front. And that has led to a swell of passion from the fans when they do lead here. There have been some accusations that the supporters tend to almost switch off and expect it all to unfold. It certainly was the case. I was here on Wednesday night. They got an early goal and that killed off the tie against the Sparta Prague, but they were calling for the substitutes after 20 minutes.
Portsmouth have gone behind in each of their Premier League games, following on suit today. Came back against Bolton to get a win at home, but this is going to be a lot tougher task.
It's a great run by Clichy, really threatening. Adebayor had actually gone offside. It's a clever play by Clichy, as well as a piece of work with pace. Talk about his optimistic, his optimistic approach to life, but it's because as a 15-year-old his heart stopped for 15 seconds and he survived that dreadful scare. And in the context of what's happened in football over the past few days with Sevilla and Leicester City, shows the need for scanning for young footballers is paramount importance.
A tricky one to deal with. Emmanuel Amulia just bounced up in front of him. Suleiman Tari. He's just shifted it past Fabregas a little too easily. It's a good distance out, and he could have got a deflection easily to make the job of the keeper a little bit harder.
Up goes Adebayor. Fabregas on the scene so quickly. Kleb, Adebayor's in the middle. And neither he nor James made any contact in the end.
It was almost as if Adebayor didn't think he could get to this. I'm wondering if he was offside here when the ball is squared. Looks pretty level to me. Pleased to see the flag stay down. He might just have been tempted to dive in. I don't know if he had the keeper's welfare in mind there, but as a centre forward, you're well entitled to fling yourself at the ball. Whatever happens after that, not your fault.
Arsenal leading through a 7th-minute penalty from Emmanuel Adebayor. The versatile Flamini had a good spell a couple of seasons ago as a left-back. All used to playing in midfield, though. Lauren. Taylor can't keep it in.
I just think if they can get the ball into Kanu's feet, who's been in fine form this season, he can cause problems to any defence and allow his teammates, that midfield four, to support with Utaka buzzing around him. They haven't been able to do that so far, Portsmouth.
And Arsenal win today, they will join Liverpool and Everton on 10 points. And Chelsea, of course, prior to their 4 o'clock kickoff at Aston Villa. Emphatically by Toure. Down goes Van Persie, free kick to Arsenal. Taken quickly by Fabregas. Adebayor was thinking quickly and moving quickly as well. And Fabregas, amongst the goals recently, prepared to have a confident crack from a long distance.
Sign of his confidence. Something that Arsenal fans were baying their players to do last season. Let go from these kind of distances. Too often they tried to pass it into the net, but there has been a marked difference this season, a change of attitude from those Arsenal boys.
A few more shots, Alan, and a few more crosses as well.
Well, if you don't buy a ticket, as they say.
Senderos, and that little battle against Kanu. Flag goes up against Adebayor, who protests about it.
Looked to me as if Glenn Johnson was keeping him on.
Glenn Johnson, of course, spent last season with Portsmouth on loan from Chelsea. Returned on a permanent transfer. Wouldn't be a deadline day without a deal or 4 from Harry Redknapp. Kanu, Muntari, almost for Taylor, headed back by Utaka. Rosicky having to defend here. Very coolly done by Johnson.
A bit better from Portsmouth. They did get the ball into Kanu in his first time. Little flick into the onrushing Sully Muntari. Not to try and commit men forward. Portsmouth, it's not always easy. You're a little bit scared of the counter-attack from this Arsenal side that can be deadly. In a position now where they've got to commit a few more men forward.
Davis. Matthew Taylor had made a run down the inside right channel, having come in from the left-hand side, just trying to mix it up, Portsmouth a bit. Coming at Van Persie from both sides. Just got there. Good Davis on Fleb. Senderos. Rosicky able to turn. On by Adebayor. The venture of a Clichy again. That was tricky for Pamero.
The rampaging, overlapping run from Gael Clichy. Doesn't hesitate to whip it in. Not too much to aim at there, at least in terms of the edge of the 6-yard box. That could have gone anywhere really from Pamero.
Fabregas to make a nuisance of himself by the goalkeeper. Meanwhile, Senderos and Toure and company coming in from deeper. As Carlo Toure has got to do a bit of retrieving here. Didn't go with Adebayor. Just bounced away from Gilberto. Well, 2 against 2. Well, Arsenal getting their troops back. Kanu surrounded, but not fazed by that at all.
They had the chance to put it into Utaka's path. Refused it.
Utaka stopped. And well worked by Clichy. Here's Adebayor. Flamini made it his. Stronger against Davis. Fabregas wanted a bit too long. Bowled over by Muntari, who must have got a piece of the ball as well.
I think he was panicking a bit because he'd let his man go. Muntari scampering back to try and make amends.
There's no offside here. It's a very well-timed run from deep by Taylor. The attacker in the middle would have been flagged offside. It's a very open game.
Probably what we expected. Portsmouth come with an attacking attitude as it is. It's just going to be cranked up a notch now.
Has not been idle. He's got what he calls the beach look, you might call the bleach look.
Keeps in clean sheets, that's the same thing.
Pacha de Canizares, outstanding Spanish goalkeeper. About him, Almunia. Montari. Fabregas's tackle. Davis. Of course, he's letting the game go on.
A crashing challenge between the two, Fabregas and Montari. Portsmouth player that's come off the worst. He's probably still thinking about it, isn't he? David James, as goalkeepers do. Could I have done anything different? When Van Persie is dashing through. See Clichy in very quickly indeed, and he reacts so brightly, Van Persie. It's a stick-on pen. James doesn't complain. Oh, does Adebayor a chance to step up and open his account?
Wenger, who hasn't been on the losing side against Portsmouth. It was mentioned in the studio at Villa Park before they handed over here to the Emirates, the leadership qualities that Fabregas brings to Arsenal. And you go along with that as well?
Yeah, I think he's a born leader, as well as having all the talent in the world. And he's had a bit of a bite in his tackle as well. He's not the biggest lad, the most powerful of boys, but he's got the thirst for it, hasn't he? Always wants to win those loose balls.
In the case of the bite a bit for Montari, who's got plenty of aggression in his game as well.
It was a fearsome clash. Neither player backing out. Wins the ball cleanly, Fabregas.
Bit of tidying up needed there by Kolo Touré. A strong African element to this fixture. Half a dozen players from that continent on the pitch. Of course, there is the distraction of the African Nations Cup during the season. Most of them will be away from their clubs for maybe as much as a month. Maddison slipping as he tried to get in behind Arsenal. Pamero. There's Van Persie. And it's more progressive play from Clichy. Rosicky just trying to cut it back. He had an idea where Fabregas was arriving, couldn't quite find him.
Most of Arsenal's good work is coming down that side, isn't it? You wouldn't imagine it, but Portsmouth shading it on attempts. Really created a chance apart from the goal. Arsenal up to now, but had plenty of possession in these kind of areas.
I don't think the attempts statistic takes into account every aspect of the play, does it? That awkward one from Pamero that he nearly put into his own goal, and other aspects of Arsenal's pressure. There's Flamini. side on the front foot again. The short corner has got Kleb engaged, but not those in the middle who'd got their backs to the effort to get it ready from the set piece.
It's always a good idea. A little quick corner. It catches your opponents off guard.
Arsenal employ the left foot of Robin van Persie with their right wing corners.
He shoots from here.
Yeah,
he shoots.
Like Morten Gamst Pedersen up at Blackburn. He shoots from everywhere, Van Persie.
Got left foot like that, you can do.
In it goes. James does very well. That's a smashing punch. Clichy. Gilberto's come rather conservatively back into the Arsenal setup this season. Of course, he took part in the Copa America. He was a winner with Brazil, although he was suspended from the final. Rosicky almost through for Van Persie. Here's Johnson. He was in the Chelsea side at the very start of this season. Van Persie's touch. Fabregas. Rosicky on the right for the moment. Kleb. Fabregas trying to get through. A little bit of pace about their central defending Portsmouth, even without Sol Campbell.
You've got to make sure it does stick though when it goes up there. It hasn't been for Portsmouth.
And the moment Taka then set off, the flag did go up.
A lack of options when the Portsmouth back four have got on the ball.
But he's not happy. And of the aspects he's concerned about was not getting caught offside. He might feel that there is space for his players to run into and try and repair the damage caused by conceding that penalty after 7 minutes.
I think when you look down Portsmouth left side, Arsenal's right, there's probably a little avenue. Mathieu Flamini is not a right back and could be outpaced by the likes of Ataka when he drifts onto that side. They can just time the pass and the run.
Kleb. For all their perceived problems settling in at the Emirates, different dimensions to Highbury and all that stuff, and going behind in a number of games. They've only been beaten once here, and that was by West Ham. And they lost 1-0, and Robert Green gave an inspired performance in the Hammers goal that day.
Yeah, Colo Touré was talking about the fact it's a bigger pitch and they can't go from back to front quite as quickly. The passing game that they got should certainly suit them. A few more spaces to exploit. They seem to have got to grips with it now after that debut season.
Clichy. Well, no wonder they weren't over-concerned about the loss of such a talent as Ashley Cole to Chelsea. They knew they had Gaël Clichy waiting to become a first-team regular.
He'll run all day, he'll do this all day, Gaël Clichy, and they're getting caught time and time again. Pompey with the dash. Lowen's got to help out. He's right back a little bit more.
Trip on Montari. Ryderson. Easily read by Flamini. Adebayor trying to anticipate where Distin was going to head it. It's good work by the Portsmouth skipper today. Given away by Montari.
It was careless, wasn't it? Miles away from where Montari was intending to put it.
It's an Arsenal free kick.
I just get the feeling that Portsmouth are hanging on by the skin of the teeth at the moment from conceding a second.
We're chanting Van Persie's name in the crowd, but really favours a right footer from this angle. Van Persie actually finished as Arsenal's top scorer last season, and he didn't play at all after January. He was injured scoring that equaliser against Manchester United. Here, game Arsenal went on to win, making some history at their new home. Horsey just getting the wall properly positioned. Here comes Kolo Touré, and the wall was properly positioned from Portsmouth's point of view. Fabregas, cut out well by Distin.
To do plenty of work, aren't they? Distin marshalling his defence right under the cosh. Can't keep it for any length of time, the visitors at the moment, to relieve the pressure.
Flamini. Well, it is often said that getting the second goal when you've got a 1-0 advantage in this Premier League is a very important factor, a very difficult achievement. I'm sure watching with interest the events here at the Emirates will be a Chelsea party before setting out for Villa Park to take on Aston Villa, which is our Super Sunday main event. And Villarreal against Real Madrid comes up tonight at 8 on Sky Sports 2. Flamini. Van Persie. Kleb. A real tussle on between Van Persie and Distin. Might have been a foul actually before the ball came back. A bit of blocking off, but it certainly was when they got into the race.
He's a determined customer, Robin Van Persie, and he's a stubborn one. It's been a good battle in this first half between that pair.
Van Persie encouraged to take the free kick a bit further towards the touchline. It's one of these that goalkeepers have nightmares about.
Yeah,
could even end up going in directly.
The Derby conceded one, didn't they, at Liverpool yesterday? Just want bodies across that fly to the ball, just in the way. The eye line of David James, that's the idea. Nobody could get there.
Well, I guess you can throw it to Kanu, however many players are around him.
Haven't been able to do that enough, though, Portsmouth.
Rosicky. Arsenal looking to consolidate their position here. Flamini. Kleb. Fabregas. Good turns from both of those. Van Persie. Gilberto. Now Rosicky for Adebayor. It's a typical Arsenal move.
Yeah, throw this stuff. Plenty of them. Doesn't really look dangerous so far from the corners, Arsenal.
Ryderson taking Senderos.
Got enough height in there.
Gilberto's a very good header of the ball. And there he is. And Fabregas gets the benefit from that. 2-0.
It seemed only a matter of time. And so it's proved. This boy can't stop scoring. They don't do the first thing, Portsmouth. They don't get in front as Gilberto for a start-off. This is a striker's goal, though. It really is. And it comes into him. He cushions it enough to be able to spin on it. It's a beautiful take. And he comes off Sean Davies first, but his reactions, Fabregas, were lightning sharp. You can see his absolute delight with the outcome.
4 in 5 games now in Premier League and Champions League qualifiers. 6 in his last 12, and that after 47 games without a goal. He missed some absolute sitters, didn't he, in that run too?
He did, yeah. Sure, that's been haunting him ever since, and willing the chance to put it right. But it was as soft as you like from Portsmouth's point of view. You know, Gilberto, unencumbered, just made a simple 5-yard dash, and really you're looking for somebody side on to make sure that they stay in front of whoever tries to get their head to that ball at the near post.
Well, maybe the goal from the set play was a full reward for the quality of the attacking move that led up to the corner. And Portsmouth won't see it that way. They were 2 up here in this fixture last season and got a draw. And Arsenal hit back. They've got to try and take the blueprint from Arsenal's recovery then.
And they've certainly got to improve, Portsmouth, as a team, in possession with their passing.
But if anyone set the tempo for Arsenal today, it's aggressive running left back. He just took that throw, Kyle Clichy. We've got this song now, We've Got Cesc Fabregas. It's echoing around the Emirates now.
It used to be We Got Dennis Bergkamp, slightly different tune, but the meaning's the same.
Montari, referee pushed by Kanu. Moving him out of the way to try and instigate something for Portsmouth. Fabregas. This down had dropped in, so Adebayor would not have been offside if the pass had got through. Here's Taylor. Ryderson. Comes out to Kanu. And Gilberto might have been responsible for Kanu going down there, but Mark Halsey didn't see it that way. It's Adebayor. Rosicky knew he was offside.
It's almost as if Portsmouth are scared to commit too many men forward in case they succumb to those kind of counter-attacks. They've been so half-hearted going forward, really, Pompey. As if they hadn't really believed it. They find themselves 2 goals down, thanks to Fabregas. That Gerd Müller in his prime. Anybody that remember the German centre-forward? Kind of goal any striker would be proud of.
But it's on, I'm sure, every Arsenal opponent's scouting report that Gilberto is the best header at the club. And he was just allowed to run free to the near post. And Cesc Fabregas, poacher's style, did the rest.
Well, I don't know who was marking him, but sometimes it's the man in front that's the vital one. Somebody allotted to stay at that near post and cover those kind of headers. Make sure you get in front.
Clichy Starting point again. Rosicky. Fabregas, the conductor of Arsene's orchestra, really. This is Van Persie. Adebayor.
Great feat.
Challenged all the while.
Impressive at Chelsea, weren't they, Portsmouth? Lucky to concede the goal, but throughout the 90 minutes they were hard to break down. But hasn't been the same kind of performance today. Certainly going forward, created nowhere near as many problems. So far, at least.
Well, with the luxury of a 2-0 lead, Senderos setting off. Now checking back, Van Persie. Didn't have the extra man up there. It's looked as though it might be the case. When he does go forward, Senderos, he knows Gilberto will fill in for him. There was another North London club that blew a 2-0 lead. Not once but twice yesterday. They were playing away at Fulham. Ryderson. Flamini stood the test.
They're winning all their battles, aren't they? Arsenal all over the pitch at the moment.
Adebayor, Rosicky. Arsenal in full cry again. So Van Persie, who was coming in at the back post.
I'm assuming he was trying to pick out Thomas Rosicky here to the midfielder.
Taylor. Not a happy return for the likes of Lauren. Kanu. Not yet, anyway. Kanu almost getting it, Matt Taylor away. Here's Davis. Lauren. Johnson. Good work again by Clichy. Distin times almost single-handedly repelling those Arsenal thrusts.
Yeah, the shake of the head says it all. It's been a tough 45 minutes here. Him and his defenders.
Well, as you said, Alan, Portsmouth gave a very good account of themselves at Chelsea. Prior to that, they held Manchester United to a 1-1 draw at Fratton Park. They're finding much greater difficulties here at the Emirates. Pleb, Van Persie is flagged offside.
He was way off in the end, I think, the Dutchman. Or was he? Not way off, but certainly offside. Glenn Johnson on the far side very nearly kept him on.
Portsmouth would have got the ball back, but Mark Halsey deciding that was mischief afoot from Herman Ryderson.
Actually, the referee thought that Ryderson just raised an arm there to stop him. It's an arm into the chest. He knew he was beaten. First foul, he says. That's a booking for it.
I think Those days of getting a free hit at your immediate opponent are long gone. It's a type of foul that the officials look at, and that was a cynical movement across by Haraderson.
Yeah, I think if it's an instant tackle and it's your first one, that's fair enough, but he knew exactly what he was doing there, Haraderson.
Taylor, Utaka. And it breaks from Matthew Taylor. Hits them much better with his left foot than with his right.
Pretty much sums up their fortunes in this first half. John Utaka's been extremely quiet. Hasn't been able to show the kind of form that he has so far this season. Not one of Matty Taylor's best.
Senderos, Van Persie. This is Flamini. He knows where Adebayor is. There were others charging up as well. Fabregas, Rosicky.
Just a nightmare for Portsmouth at the moment. They're chasing shadows. Even Flamini outpacing his man, time and his run.
Well, maybe an early celebration of a new deal that's going to be signed next week for Arsene Wenger. Adebayor from the penalty spot. A poacher's goal from Cesc Fabregas. 2-0 Arsenal over Portsmouth at the break.
It'll be a long game this. Jamie Redknapp and Andy Gray watching. We'll get their thoughts when we come back. Don't forget we've got Chelsea to come at Aston Villa, which is where you find us. But the reaction to the first half at the Emirates comes next.
Collymore closing in!
Let's make this moment last.
Saturday, 4 Euro 2008 qualifiers only on Sky Sports. First at 2:30, Scotland take on Lithuania. Sky Sports 1 and HD1. At 5, Northern Ireland. Travel to Latvia, Sky Sports 1. Then at 7:15, the Germans play Wales.
Magnificent.
Sky Sports 1. And finally at 7:30, the Republic of Ireland travel to Slovakia.
Robbie Keane.
On Sky Sports 2. International football with Sky Bet, Saturday.
Relationships are like marathons.
Huh? Why?
It takes dedication.
You don't think I'm going to finish, do you?
Stamina.
You have been trying to get to Libby for 5 years now. I will run the marathon.
What?
For Dennis Doyle, it's no guts.
Your legs might be a little rubbery.
I'm fine.
No glory. Simon Pegg. Tandy Newton.
I think I got a blister.
Run, fat boy, run.
You'll have to pop it.
UFC 75, live in London, Saturday, the 8th of September. Tickets are on sale now at the O2 Arena box office and ticketmaster.co.uk.
The left back has been up and down the wing all night.
Yeah, it's amazing, and he's still looking incredibly fresh.
Wrigley's Extra, the official chewing gum of the Premier League.
Stand by.
There's a fine line between winning and losing. Sometimes, just a few millilitres.
Calling all football fanatics across the land. We have suffered for our love of the beautiful game. If we couldn't watch it live, we fed our hunger for goals with text alerts. Well, gentlemen, times have changed, and we have been blessed. You can now get goal, highlight and pre-match clips of every Barclays Premier League and UEFA Champions League game on your mobile for only a £5 a month. Wherever you are, whoever you are, welcome to 24/7 football.
The time is now.
That's where we are later. Villa Park, where Chelsea are the visitors. 3:30 we start talking about that. And later tonight, Villarreal meet Real Madrid at 8. You'll find that on Sky Sports 2. And Arsenal 2 to the good after 45 minutes against Portsmouth. Could be a long afternoon, Jamie, this, couldn't it?
It's been very comfortable for Arsenal. And I'm pretty sure what the Portsmouth manager and the coaching staff of them is saying, let's not give them anything early. Let's make them work for everything they get. But after 5 minutes, it was a gift. They tried to play. First of all, Glenn Johnson picks up, tries to play it long, and it was sloppy. And he's got time. If anything there, go long. You've got Utaka up front, you've got Kanu up there, and again, they win the ball back here, and you think, OK, there's no real danger here. The ball breaks down, Hamaro picks it up, passes it to Utaka, who dilly-dallies on it, get caught, and after that, they're under real pressure, and David James comes out. Yeah, it's a certain penalty. No two ways about it, Andy, is there?
No, I think that's one of the easier decisions.
But you know what we said earlier in the day, didn't we? Pompey will go there and play, which they've tried to do. So many other teams go there and just sit and don't want to play. And then we criticise that.
No, I don't think Harry will criticise them trying to play when they've got the ball. I think the one thing he would be disappointed about, they haven't stood about and admired Arsenal, but I don't think they've been in their faces enough. I think they've allowed Arsenal to play too many passes too often. The build-up to the second goal is a classic example at times as well. And we'll see
waits here, actually.
This is cool. I mean, we all try to pre-guess where he's going, and you haven't scored. That's your first goal of the season. It's nice to get a free shot from 12 yards. But I would like to have seen Portsmouth get in their faces a bit more all over the pitch. And I think, you know, the build-up, they're comfortable. They're passing it. They can come out. They can go across the pitch. So look at Fabregas, little position, turning away from play. Another little one, slip. This is what I'm saying. I don't think Harry said have broken it up enough in these sort of areas. And then from this corner, of course, they're a little unlucky, Pompey. Whatever you say, the delivery is good, yes. But from that moment on, it's luck to where it drops, isn't it?
He might have a new nickname, Cesc the Sniffer. I mean, we've seen Cesc Fabregas score all sorts of goals, but we're not accustomed to seeing him score those little ones. But
no, we were talking about it earlier. I mean, you were saying in order to replace Henry, others have got to chip in. Yeah.
Well,
he's doing his bit.
If he got 20 goals a season, what you're saying to your other team, OK, 5 of you, can you produce 4 more goals? He certainly looks like he can produce far more than 4. He might get 8 to 10 this year, which will go a long way to Arsenal absorbing the loss of Henry's goals.
Would you be concerned now about how this ends up?
What, if I was Portsmouth manager?
Or can they, if they get something early, do they start to get Arsenal anxious?
Because of the nature of the team you're playing against, you know pretty much any time they pick the ball up, like we just seen Andy was talking about it, they're popping the ball off with too much ease. You'd want Portsmouth to get closer. You want to put them under a little bit more pressure. But it's a fine line because you'll be looking at it thinking we don't want to get beat 4 or 5 here. So I don't expect Portsmouth to come out all guns blazing and go gung-ho. They're going to still be, they're going to maintain, they're going to try and be tight, Andy, aren't they?
Well, about getting in their faces. When Arsenal are slicking the ball around like that, surely that's a tough ask.
It is a tough ask, but it depends where you defend from, Richard. It depends where you defend. You let them have it at the back, you say, we'll come into midfield. But I just think when you get to a certain part of the pitch, you have enough players there, back 4 in the midfield 4, you have 8 players. And I think you need to be tighter to them, closer to them, you might have to take a risk eventually, Richard. 2-0 is never a lead that you say the game's over with. I don't care who you are. If Arsenal were to lose the next goal, you get a bit nervy and Pompey are right back in it. And that's what this game is all about these days. 2-0, Arsenal look comfortable. A goal for Pompey, the whole game changes and flips.
We are at Villa Park where Chelsea arrive later, and Dion Dublin will be joining us as well. Next, back to the Emirates where Arsenal lead, 2-up against Portsmouth.
What a season, and what a finish to it.
We get the news, man. You're quite the superstar. Man breaks brother out and flees to Panama. But you're not a superstar here.
New Prison, New Break starts the 24th of September on Sky 1 and Sky 1 HD.
Whatever. Next.
Tiger Woods, PGA Tour 08, EA Sports. It's in the game.
From behind, it looked like Peter.
But yelling that nickname twice.
I swear it looked like him.
It is a very funny nickname, though.
The, receptionist seems to think so.
Auris, the new Toyota. You'll feel different inside.
He killed my son.
I'm coming for the rest of your family.
From the director of Saw, I need guns. Kevin Bacon. Death sentence.
Are you alive? Fuel for life. The fragrance by Diesel. Use with caution.
Are you alive? Fuel for life. The fragrance by Diesel. Use with caution.
We don't often think about words, we simply say them. But just for a moment, think about this one. Fair.
Of course, there's all the fun of the fair. We all want a fair share. Chip. And we all want a fair deal.
At Britannia Building Society, our customers own the business and get a share of the profits. £50 million last year.
Beat that.
Britannia, building a fairer society.
Experience the power of stealth. Gillette Fusion Power Stealth. Fusion Power is so advanced, and you barely feel the blades. Turn it on. Soothing micropulses help you reduce friction and increase razor glide. Feel the difference for yourself. The comfort of 5 blades plus the precision of 1. Gillette Fusion Power Stealth.
You all right in there, love? Do you need some help?
Oh, only if it's not too much trouble.
Mom? Mom! When you finished out there, Maxine needs a hand in the kitchen.
When you love football this much, you just want to share it with the world. Paper, online, mobile. The Sun. We love it.
Sky One and the Premier League team up for a week-long knockout tournament. Footballing legends will battle it out alongside celebrities and fans for the All-Stars trophy. To find out how you can get tickets, go to sky1.co.uk/All-Stars.
Well, Villa have arrived at Villa Park. Today with plenty to think about how to frustrate Chelsea today, who haven't won here in their last 8 visits. That's coming up. It's our second live match of the afternoon on this Super Sunday. Aston Villa against Chelsea from 3:30. Later, Villarreal meet Real Madrid at 8 on Sky Sports 2. We're at the Emirates watching Arsenal and Pompey. The Gunners 2 up at half-time. Don't forget that Blackburn and Manchester City are about to start. We'll have goal highlights along the way. Adebayor and Fabregas, the scorers of Arsenal's goals. 2 up at half-time. Do you think genuinely they can mount a proper title challenge without Henry?
Why not? Honestly, I was astounded at so many people were writing them off at the beginning of the season. I think it wasn't disrespectful. I mean, it just showed that I don't think people realise what a good side they've got. You look at if they sort the goalkeeper out, their back four with the 2 centre-backs, Colo Torre and William Gallas, as good as anything you'll get in this country. Fantastic. You look at the 2 central midfield players, Gilberto and Fabregas, a great combination. One who sits and is disciplined like he is, the other now who's been released, it looks to me, to go forward and influence the play. And if, and I know it's in it, and I think Rosicky and Hleb are better players with a year of the Premiership.
My problem with Arsenal was their away from home. The likes of when they went to Blackburn, winning 1-0, Blackburn ended up bringing it back to 1-1. That's where I would feel they maybe lacked that little bit of determination away from home.
Time will tell. I think you're right, Jamie. That would be the one question mark against them. But I thought against Blackburn, I thought they did dig in. I thought they had to dig in. And I thought coming away from there with a point, because not many teams will go to Blackburn and come away with anything more than a point this year. They'll be a tough nut to crack in there at Ewood. And I thought 1-1, I think Arsene Wenger would take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But what I will say is, I think they'll go closer this year than they did last.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. I don't think they are ready yet, but I think they will definitely go closer.
Well, we'll hear from Andy later when Villa meet Chelsea. Dion Dublin on the way in, and changes, and plenty of them, it would appear.
Cranshaw.
Let's go and join Alan Smith and Martin Tyler.
Yeah, Jamie's absolutely right, Richard. Nico Cranshaw has come on along with Pedro Mendes. And Lauren and Hariderson have gone off. It suggests that Matthew Taylor might move from left midfield to left back. But I guess Alan Smith, Harry Redknapp had to do something.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, no Toothless going forward, and Cranshaw is a really creative player on the ball. If they can get him good possession in decent areas, it might lead to something. But the only way is up for Portsmouth.
Mark Holsey satisfying himself that everyone is present and correct. Portsmouth 2-0 down. Room for improvement. But also probably a little concern that it carries on in the same vein, the match. They might really leave here with their tails between their legs.
Well, that's the last thing you want, obviously. They've got Liverpool up next, haven't they? It's not been the easiest of starts for them. They want to come through with Morale intact, and they might just need that man.
Yeah, they might well feel that they're missing him. But here's Kanu. Responsible for Gilberto going to ground. Quite intriguing that Gilberto wasn't named as the permanent captain this season here, after doing such a good job as standing in for Thierry Henry for much of last season. William Gallas got the nod, then of course he's been ruled out through a hamstring injury. And Colo Torre is the deputy skipper. Position where the ball might drop, and just too high for him. Matthew Taylor filling back in there and conceding the corner.
And a couple of options. It wasn't a bad effort. He had Fabregas making ground on the edge of the box as well. Important moment this for Portsmouth. Concede now and it's all over.
Sniffer Fabregas is looking for more. There he is, and it very nearly got the telling touch. Senderos, and Fabregas was diving in again, but David James helped in the end on the line by Kanu.
All over the place, aren't they? Portsmouth on those corners at the moment.
Lovely skill by Van Persie to get to the byline, but Philippe Senderos was only a few centimetres away from making it 3-0 for Arsenal.
Well, David James decides to stay on his line because it was whipped in, but that's a great save from the England keeper. Really is pot luck where that ball bounces up. Bounces onto Senderos' head and produces a good save.
Let's get some news from down the touchline. Jeff Shreve. Jeff.
Yeah, Martin, at half-time I went seeking absolute confirmation of what you were talking about in commentary with regard to Robin Van Persie not taking the penalty. It is because he was fouled and not because he failed to convert a penalty last week against Man City. If he's involved in the penalty being won, he doesn't want to take it.
Yeah, it's a continuation of that policy. Thanks, Jeff, for just confirming that for us.
Funny one, that, isn't it? I don't know if it's just superstition or whatever, but if you won the penalty and you're the penalty taker, you quite fancy stepping up and trying to convert it, increase your goal tally.
And we saw that share around between Henry and Pires. Kanu behind Senderos. Well, that's an interesting decision for Mark Holsey here.
He's reaching for his card. What colour's it going to be?
He's off. That's going to change the complexion here.
Well, he's through on goal, Kanu. There's no doubt about that. There was a suspicion that he was offside, the striker, and Senderos certainly looked across at the assistant to see whether the flag was going to go up. And when it didn't, he had to try and make amends because he got caught the wrong side. So look, when the ball's played through, he's onside, I think. He's level. Senderos is in a poor position. He's far too in advance of the ball, and the man, the slightest tug and then the arms around the shoulder. There's a goal-scoring opportunity, no doubt about it.
Well, the smiles off the Arsenal faces now. Senderos, who was dismissed a couple of times last season. And it's the Portsmouth fans now in that corner. You can see them in that wedge part of the ground over beyond the far corner flag. Sea of blue.
The complexion of this game could change in an instant here if Portsmouth convert and make the most of this situation.
Mooney has gone across by one post. Utaka having a good look at it. Taylor has a word in his ear. And Montari is the left footer. Utaka fancies this, and Almunia keeps it out. And they're asking for a penalty here on the follow-up. It was a real chance.
It wasn't the most convincing of saves, really, from Almunia. He seemed too far across for me. Whereas before, Fabregas got on the knockdowns for that second goal. Kolo Touré, look at his reaction. He's scrambling back, throwing his body in the way of Matthew Taylor. Seems to get in an awkward position, and he makes a hash of the save.
It's Sean Davis who puts it over the top.
Did he get a deflection off Touré?
Adebayor challenging Glenn Johnson. Because of the length of service of Arsene Wenger, we've been keeping tallies, perhaps more than most managers, about the number of players sent off. For the record, it is 69 now, with the departure of Senderos here under Arsene Wenger. Van Persie. Found the angle too acute in the end. And Taylor sees off for Adebayor.
Well, it's not what you would call an example of ill discipline, is it? That particular red card. It was just a matter of the letter of the law. And Mark Halsey, I think, cannot be criticised too much for it. Kanu probably went down a little too easily. He felt the tug back and went down. He's not on his own in that respect. Made a little change in this second half. Harry Redknapp, Giannatakas dropping in onto that right-hand side and then trying to join in when they do get the ball, making it a 4-5-1.
Yeah, that might have been a plan designed for playing against 11 men. We're having a rethink here against 10. Plenty of time for Portsmouth. Crancher. Taylor. Crancher gets the header. Rosicky. Gilberto is the substitute central defender. Of course, he played there against Manchester City when Senderos was injured actually in the warm-up. It was a game he didn't start. This is a game he hasn't finished, Philip Senderos.
Van Persie's just going to drop in and help out his midfield teammates, make sure they don't get outnumbered in there. And even Adebayor up front on his own.
Johnson. And Rosicky fouled by Kanu. The villain with the Arsenal fans at the moment. For the challenge that's brought the yellow card here and the sending off incident.
A few groans from the crowd. They wanted to see a red card here. It's a striker's tackle from Kanu.
Well, 2-0 can induce a degree of comfort that's not really entitled to be felt. Whether that was the case for Senderos, certainly just miscalculated, hoping the offside flag would have bailed him out of a weak piece of positional play.
He was just ahead of the line, wasn't he, in the centre half. Not allowed Kanu to get in. Interesting now to see how this game pans out. How Portsmouth attacking. Ataka's still keeping that position on the right.
Clichy. Been playing like two men. Got out by Distat. Montari. It's a terrific ball for Kanu. And Gilberto won it on the touch. Not quite immaculate there from Kanu. Utaka's cross. Asking for handball. Now Portsmouth. Arsenal make the same claim, neither given by Mark Halsey.
Just got to settle down a touch here, Arsenal. That's the composure for a second. He wouldn't fancy Kanu's first touch to let him down, but it did there when Montari brilliantly picked him out. If he'd got that right, that first touch, he'd have had a great chance.
It's interesting his touch on the sending off, Alan. I'm sure Andy will look at it later on as to whether you call it a goal-scoring opportunity. Positionally, it was, but he seemed to be dragging the ball across as if aware that Kolo Touré was coming and might have to be beaten. Anyway, the decision's been made now, and Arsenal going to try and tough it out here. With just over 10 minutes gone in the second half, the comfort is the 2-0 lead. Crancher. Johnson. Up in the air off the head of Gilberto. Kanu. And still, and Ataka ends up on the deck. Fabregas. Rosicky. Arsenal still with the will and the skill to pass it. Van Persie on to Adebayor. And again, the speed of Distin, vital for Portsmouth in the recovery.
They needed to show it. They pushed up Portsmouth right up to the halfway line. Chance in their arm. Good job, that man. He's got some pace.
The referee just indicating, pointing to his watch, that time will be added on for this. Arsenal not hurrying to take the corner. Yeah. Margin the fortunes. You think of Philippe Senderos so nearly scored to make it 3-0 and put the game out of Portsmouth. The redress. And then facing a red card from Mark Halsey.
The last corner, Arsenal only had 2 in the box, as opposed to before when they had a full complement of 11 men.
Free kick this time, taken quickly. Rosicky. It caught Portsmouth out, and the 10 men have helped themselves to a third here.
I'll talk about scoring at the most opportune moment. If ever there was a time, this was it. Just at a time when Arsenal were looking a little dishevelled, down to 10 men, not quite sure how this match was going to pan out. Well, 10 men or not, they look pretty favourite here. I mean, look at this. Totally switched off. Mendes doesn't see him, and it squirts through Glenn Johnson's legs. It's a catalogue of errors from Portsmouth. They're looking the other way. Mendes not even looking at the ball. James, no chance as a result.
Well, he scored here against his fellow countryman from Sparta Prague, his old club, on Wednesday. He loved that, but in a way, this is more important because Arsenal's position, without becoming perilous, was a bit more, whether he's trying to control it or not, but it's ended up in the back of the net, so another twist to the tail, 3-1.
How they could have done with that 5 minutes ago. This, I think you'll find, is one of the luckiest goals that you will ever see. Hence the lack of real celebration. Probably the scoreline as well contributes to it. Have a look at this here. It's a little double touch, I think, as he's trying to drag it around. It's come off one leg onto the other and into the net. Amazing goal.
Where's it gone? Where's it gone? It's in the net. So those Arsenal celebrations, and they were plentiful. Rather now put into a different perspective. The lead is still only 2. An hour gone. But Kanu is going to be supplemented here by David Nugent, who's still a Portsmouth player. There was some talk that his short time at Fratton Park might be brought to an end by a bid. Derby were apparently trying to entice him to Pride Park. Off comes Sean Davis. Nugent got his first goal for Pompey in the Carling Cup win over Leeds in midweek. There's an Arsenal reaction here. Alex Fleb has been a bit under the weather. Gives way to Danielson.
Well, they're going to need the legs in midfield, aren't they? With the man down. And with Pompey, you would expect doing a lot of the pushing now, trying to get back into this.
Crancher. Adebayor almost found by Fabregas. Pedro Mendes, whose time at Tottenham might be remembered here by the Arsenal supporters. Taylor. Kanu drifting away again. And Arsenal showing more than a hint of vulnerability now. Utaka still looking for someone to try and find. In the end, it was Kranjčar.
He's come to life on the right-hand side. John Utaka looks much more effective there, attacking his fullback without Clichy.
Push on Adebayor by Noah Tamaro. He's a very experienced official in Premier League circles, Mark Halsey. Not going to be fazed by some big decisions that he's had to make here. Penalty, I don't think that was too difficult. The sending off took a little bit of thought. But once he decided to give the free kick, I think he saw it as Senderos as definitely the last man. So Senderos is a spectator.
Well, yeah, when we talk about referees getting the big decisions right, and probably you can see from his position in Kanu, it certainly was a goal-scoring opportunity. Whatever you say about his touch going sideways, Arsene Wenger no doubt will disagree afterwards.
No, it's just putting the other point of view, Alan. And here's Nugent off the corner flag. It goes Pompey's way for a corner. From Mark Halsey's point of view, it looked a stick-on goal-scoring opportunity. And he's the man who had to decide, and he didn't shirk the decision. And without Senderos' heading ability, Arsenal got to find some markers here. Almunia helped them out. Out with Taylor. Kranjčar. Bit of a daisy cutter in the end.
He made a run to the near post from that corner, Kranjčar, and he was not tracked by anyone.
Rosicky. They've got to stay honest at the back. And Arsenal with Danielson and Fabregas here. Well, don't take your eyes off this. Montari. It's too long even for the turbocharged legs of Utaka.
It's made a game of it, hasn't it? If you're a neutral here, it's probably what you would have hoped for, because Arsenal look set to comfortably stroll home at 2-0.
Play on, says the referee for Danielson. Clichy. Danielson again. Fabregas. Here comes Flamini from right back. Not much lessening of the attacking effort. Now they've found that they can score, even though they're short-handed, Arsenal. Toure. Fabregas. Here's Adebayor. Free kick to Arsenal.
I think you'll find I'll just be a little bit more economical with how many men they push on. Arsenal let 3 do it rather than 5, and they've got the ability to keep the ball in little triangles. Doesn't get the ball, Pedro Mendes. And Van Persie's side this one if he fancies a crack.
Has been such a vibrant start to the Premier League season. So much to talk about with every match, really. Very much the case yesterday, again. And no one's feeling shortchanged about the events at the Emirates. Robin Van Persie. David James feels he's going to be taken on here by the Dutchman. Not the first time, but maybe the second.
Took one out in the wall.
Just as Van Persie was shaping to have a go, he found the referee in his line of vision. the back for Nugent, a yellow card for Fabregas.
He's eager to come through and win this one, Fabregas. The ball was quite high, and so is the foot.
Here is Nugent. He's learning about Premier League life after his move from Preston. Camero. Taylor. It almost came for Attacker. It was a vital touch for Arsenal by Gilberto. It's certainly not a holding operation from the home side. Attack being the best form of defence.
It's not them, is it? Arsenal doesn't suit their strengths. So you can see a good number of red and white shirts holding back when they counter-attack there. Let three of the lads get on with it, see what developed.
Utaka. Pedro Mendes. Montari. Across to Taylor. What a ball. What a fantastic ball from Matty Taylor.
A cross shot, one of those, you just want to flash it across goal and hope somebody, attacker or defender, gets a touch to beat the keeper. Not that time.
Yeah, I think a true striker might have gone sliding in. Then Alan, would you have done? You'd have fancied reaching that by hook or by crook.
I don't think it was Attacker, wasn't it? He just didn't read what Matty Taylor had in mind.
Well, there are similarities to what happened at Fulham yesterday, with one side being 2-0 and then 3-1 down, and then getting a draw out of it.
Arsenal substitution.
Maybe Arsene Wenger concerned about the balance of his team. Off comes a striker in Van Persie. On comes the midfield man, Abu Diaby. Leaving just Adebayor to fend a bit for himself.
He was doing that midfield job, wasn't he, Van Persie, when he could. Arsene Wenger, I'm sure, has seen enough in this last 10 minutes to warrant that change. Try and stem this flow.
Danielson. Fabregas had to be careful there, going for that one, having just been booked. Reclaiming by Pedro Mendes. Rosicky. Flamini. I don't know how much more caution this is supposed to be. Diaby's well forward. Rosicky, 3 ahead of him. Gas having his pocket pick, so to speak.
I'm not sure. Diaby carrying out his manager's instructions there, and he's back to goal in the end, right on the last line. Trying to get back now.
Johnson. And he'll be maybe after this game wondering how events unfold at Villa Park. And these two as well, William Gallas and the new Arsenal signing from Chelsea, Lassana Diarra. In front of them, Bakary Sagna, who's out with a back problem. And Villarreal will play Real Madrid in La Liga. You can see that for your evening's entertainment. Kanu, and there's another back man there, Paulo Touré.
A very similar situation, really, to the goal, the penalty rather, and sent it off with Kanu. He got the other side of his centre-half, but Touré on that occasion, Touré has the pace to recover, and that's exactly what he did.
Diaby. It's another of the supposedly holding midfield players, Danielson, trying to make the run in furthest forward.
I think Diaby actually has been sent on as a support for Adebayor. He's playing just in front of Rosicky, Fabregas and Danielson.
Yeah, I heard Arsene Wenger talking about Diaby, saying that he can play as a striker. And here might be a header for him. Oh, and he's missed it.
Well, you'll find that will be one of the misses of the season. No matter what goes on from here. On a plate for him. 6 yards out. Head in hands. Oh, got a spanner on that neck.
A bit short with a back pass, Gilberto. You have to say that Diaby took up a super position, and if you are going to be a striker, you've got to not be afraid to miss. He certainly has missed. And here he is again. Adebayor. This really is a game just crackling with action and atmosphere. Level on the attempts.
It is so refreshing to see Arsenal piling men forward. Maybe not in the numbers that they did when they had 11, but still hungry to get that 4th goal.
Portsmouth desperately seeking a second. Taylor. Cleverly done for Kranjčar. There's Glenn Johnson, who can certainly attack as well. The attacker is outside him. Johnson shot dipped, carried away by Almunia. Comes to attacker, comes back to Johnson. Maybe not time for the touch.
Well, they invited it, Arsenal. Stood off Glenn Johnson here. Go on then, have a shot, have a shot. And see Gael Clichy just holding his ground, and it swerved enough in flight to make it difficult for Almunia. His first touch then, Glenn Johnson's denying him a second crack at goal. We'll see how much it curls away from the keeper. This time he does enough to beat it away from the danger area, Almunia.
Kranjčar. He's got a lot of attacking players on Harry Redknapp, hasn't he? Both fullbacks, Johnson and Taylor. Their strengths are going forward. Kranjčar's a craftsman, been brought on at half-time. Loitering on the left of midfield. Nugent up there now with Kanu. He's one of the true defenders. But, remember Sylvain Distin, was it against Aston Villa for Manchester City? Playing a give and go and keeping going and scoring just a truly awesome goal. So he can attack as well. Who's the attacker? Portsmouth 3-1 down. They need all the offensive skill that they can muster.
Certainly a lot more of a threat there, hasn't he, Johnny Tarker, on the right-hand side where he has played this season. Less options, attack his man with his speed and dribbling ability.
Rosicky. Clichy. Adebayor might have had a look across at the assistant. The reposition well enough. Portsmouth holding a high line initially. Drop back now. Diaby spurning the shot. Here's Danielson. Adebayor coming in. Diaby. It wasn't such an easy header that time. Not by any means.
Well played. Glenn Johnson just got in front of the midfield. That did enough.
Utaka. Arsenal fans trying to play a part, recognising the difficulties that the team are in numerically. Pedro Mendes. Utaka is trying to test out how strong Arsenal are in the centre of the defence without Senderos. Touré, of course, still there. A tower of strength. Johnson. Now Distin. And Taylor. Portsmouth trying to spread the play. Stretch Arsenal's resources. Montari didn't make it. Taylor might, but didn't.
Fancy they've got to take those kind of opportunities, make the most of them. It's a glorious ball in, actually, from Glenn Johnson in the right back position. What's he got? 13 minutes or so plus stoppage. Got a couple of goals.
Portsmouth have had one or two beatings at Arsenal, at Highbury. Of course, their first visit to the Emirates finished 2-2. Here they're looking for a 3-3. And Harry Redknapp and Tony Adams must feel it's still possible.
Arsene Wenger's going to make a change now. Eduardo, that's set to come on.
Yes, that number 9 that you passed on all those years ago has now got a new wearer, the Brazilian-born Croatian international colleague of Niko Kranjčar, of course, done so well in England's Euro qualifying group for Croatia. Eduardo had a good night here on Wednesday when he made a goal for Fabregas, then scored his first goal for the club, but he actually did it playing wide on the left in the latter stages. And it looks as though he's going to come on up front here for Adebayor, who set the ball rolling from the penalty spot. There's been many a twist to the tail since then.
A good start to his Arsenal career, hasn't he, Eduardo, with that goal, and with his overall contribution. He's a tough little character, works hard and sniffs out a goal as well, as we saw in the week. If he gets the opportunities this season, I'm sure he'll have a healthy goals-to-game ratio. He's that type of player.
Diaby. Another skimmed out by James. Normally connects a bit cleaner than that. Back heel by Danielson, fastened onto by Fabregas. Eduardo only just on. It's not easy to accustom yourself straight away to the tempo of the game that others have been playing for nearly 80 minutes. Johnson. Utaka. Pleaded by Clichy.
Clichy work hard, hasn't he? The second half, John Utaka. Clichy spent most of the first half galloping forward, but not been the same.
Here is Utaka. Arsenal were a bit back on their heels. Clever free kick rolled in by Montari.
It was quick thinking. Nice little interchange and touch from Utaka.
Arsenal nearly caught out by something similar to what brought their own third goal. Another 60,000 plus attendance at the Emirates. Because of public transport difficulties getting away from the stadium, there is a tendency for fans to leave a bit early here. But there's absolutely no need to do that today. An early kick-off, plenty of time to get home, and plenty of suggestion that the drama hasn't finished yet. Kranjčar, Pedro Mendes. By Taylor, it loops up off Flamini's head. Rosicky, Eduardo. Nicely clipped ball by Pedro Mendes. Here's Utaka. Clichy having a different type of half to the first period. He attacked at will.
They're trying to get the ball out to attack at every opportunity, Portsmouth. They feel that's their best avenue. Getting the second goal.
Kanu, who scored to make it 3-1, 18 seconds from the kickoff. After Arsenal had gone 3-0 in front. Too long from Taylor. Well, Almunia beaten finally after a couple of good games, clean sheets on his return. And Kanu trying to bring the ball down to spin and shoot, somehow deflecting the ball into the corner of Almunia's net. It was fortuitous.
Yeah, that's what the people say. He didn't mean it was a fluke. 3 points is the main thing. When you've gone 3 goals up, you're expecting to win it. It looks that way at the moment for Arsenal. Not long left.
Utaka is the main focus of Portsmouth's efforts now. Pedro Mendes, who gets them on target so often from that sort of distance, was concentrating on accuracy rather than power this time.
When it's coming across your body like that, it is difficult to really swing at it. Want to steer it into the top corner.
So trying to use the Arsenal player as a bit of a screen, wasn't he, to just get it round and maybe unsettle Almunia. Bamaro. Nugent.
Struggles getting the game. Nugent so far. Shoved off it.
Flamini and Danielson. Flamini's still going, and Mark Housey says you can keep going on. It's good work again by Distin.
Nothing to aim at. He looked up. Flamini, and he was the furthest forward. I think anybody was expecting him to get through that challenge.
Yeah, Arsenal would probably have been happier to get the free kick in the circumstances. The play going on. Flamini's got to get back somewhat wearily to defend. Quick free kick for Pompey by Kanu. Johnson. Then it's switched to Taylor. They've got it wide well enough. The attacker on the right, Taylor on the left, but haven't really threatened too often from those positions. As Arsenal chase across. Here's Johnson. And still, Glenn Johnson for Portsmouth. It's Nugent. Corner.
Not the first time, is it? Carlo Touré's done that. Getting the vital touch. What a chance this was for David Nugent to endear himself to his new fans. Took a little bit too long. Allowed the defender to throw himself in the way of it.
They did play their way through the middle that time. Cranchard's header and Gilberto. After Flamini had intervened. Another corner. 4 minutes to go.
Came in towards Kanu. I don't know if it was his touch or Flamini's there.
Taylor. And closed down well by Danielson, putting the attempt off target. I think there'll be a fair allocation of added time here. There have been substitutions. Mark Horsey has made it quite clear on a couple of occasions that he felt Arsenal have been making him think about his timekeeping. Diaby. And, a mesmerising run. Clichy. Fabregas. Be a corner.
Yeah, will do Arsenal. Tick down the clock. Must be some tired legs. The 10-man side at the moment.
We're hearing already there might be as much as 4 minutes added time. Rosicky. Pressed by Pedro Mendes. And Rosicky solves his difficulties. Fabregas, the maestro. Flamini. It's a pretty decent hit. Matt Taylor bravely getting in the way of it. Fabregas again, cleared by Taylor again. Forward by Toure. Eduardo using the full width of the Emirates pitch. Diaby. It would be an exaggeration to say that Arsenal have looked like the team with the extra man from time to time, but they certainly haven't looked a man light very often.
That's the nature of their game, isn't it? They're absolutely superb at keeping the ball. There's no team to match them really in that respect. One arm form. But it's been another good display, hasn't it? Taking away the sending off.
Well, they talk about their harmony, Alan, in the dressing room, and the spirit. They spend their time socially together. They are a group of younger players. Maybe not so many of them have the wife and kids to go home to. Flamini. Eduardo. He's helped out as he's come on, just as Diaby has as well. Portsmouth now suddenly wearing a bit of a beaten look. Diaby. All this going on while Pedro Mendes is just picking himself up. And Diaby not closed down, so why not have a hit?
What a hit it was. That's a virtual open goal with the header, Abu Diaby, but we've seen already in this second half he's got really clever feet. Got a powerful right foot as well.
We're into the added 4 minutes. Montari. And the ball was played. He does lunge a bit, Abu Diaby. But fair enough, says the Mark Halsett. Had a good angle of it. But Camero got Fabregas first. Flamini. All Matt Taylor can do is concede a corner, use up more of that precious commodity for Portsmouth, time.
Best way to do it, isn't it? Keeping the ball going forward.
Only 3 in the penalty area. In red and white. Well, Chelsea's turn to come, of course. Stay with us for their game to complete the Premier League weekend against Aston Villa at Villa Park. Not been a good ground for Chelsea in recent seasons, but It's shaping up again a good weekend for the Big Four after stutters a couple of weekends ago. Terrific from Liverpool. Manchester United did what they had to do. And Arsenal close now to 3 more points. Johnson. He's turned Clichy, that takes a bit of doing, and Kolo Touré dealing with a devilish ball across the face of the Arsenal goal.
And he's had a stunning game, Kolo Touré. A real defender's defender.
That's the last knockings for Portsmouth. There's only one player going forward, Thomas Rosicky, and he's bent his run. He went left and then right, and he put himself in a position where he could be found. Arsenal could keep the ball into Portsmouth territory. A very good play.
Got some energy, hasn't he?
Well, it's interesting. He's one of the players that regularly got substituted last season, as did Kleb. Kleb's gone off early today. Rosicky has run and run, and of course his bright mind got the crucial goal from the quick free kick to fire it in. And even though Kanu got one back straight away, Arsenal have withstood what Harry Redknapp's revamped troops could throw at them. Even 11 against 10 without looking over-threatening. Gilberto, troubled by Nugent's pace. So it's going to be 10 points from 4 games for Arsenal, the same as Liverpool. Still they're looking for a 4th goal, but the final whistle does go. Arsene Wenger's team played with style in the first half. They were 2-0 up. They had to be stout-hearted in the second half, and they lost Philippe Senderos. They still managed a 3rd goal through Thomas Rosicky. Kanu muddled one in for Portsmouth, who couldn't take any advantage from their one-man advantage. Arsenal 3, led and inspired by Fabregas. One of the scorers, of course. Portsmouth 1.
No change for Pompey in the bottom half of the Barclays Premier League. Sit 12th. Down on the weekend. Arsenal into 2nd, as high as they've been since they finished 2nd in 2005. Liverpool, of course, lead, and they haven't been top for 5 years. Until this weekend. Don't forget, coming up, we've got Villa and Chelsea next here on Sky Sports 1, and more football later. Villarreal against Real Madrid at 8 on Sky Sports 2. Blackburn and Manchester City kicked off at 3 o'clock this afternoon. There has been a goal at Ewood Park. This is it. Benny McCarthy, a little bit like Fabregas, on hand in the right place at the right time, doesn't he, Justin? And after what's happened to him early in the season, deserves it as well. We'll keep our eyes on what's happening there. What do we make of Arsenal and Pompey?
Arsenal deserved it. I think first half performance, I thought they were the better team. I thought they passed it better. I think Portsmouth's point of view, they'll look at it that they never really... What we expect from Arsenal was them opening you up, but they didn't have to do that today. I think Portsmouth almost gifted Arsenal their goals.
Well, they did, certainly within the first 10 minutes, didn't they? They were a goal down, and as you said, the manager and his coaching staff would have been saying whatever else, let's keep it tight.
Well, any team, I think any team, the last words you pretty much hear ringing out from your manager is, let's keep it tight. First 20 minutes, let's quieten the crowd. This certainly doesn't help. But it was the passage going to play. I don't think you can deny that it's not a penalty. David James comes out, Van Persie gets there, and as soon as he gets any sort of touch, he goes down.
Adebayor, the goal scorer, not Van Persie on the kick. Why?
It has to be something that the French do, Richard. I worked with Gerard Houllier, and I can remember a similar sort of situation happening. Robbie Fowler getting fouled, wanted to take the